Welcome to Economics is Everywhere, where we debate current events and issues through the macroeconomic lens. We hope these debates will be edifying as well as entertaining. It's our aim to disagree without being disagreeable so that the discussion will continue and more thoughtful solutions to modern problems will be discovered. Our teams present two sides of a topic so that you, the viewing audience, will be better informed. Scoring for this debate is more heavily weighted towards content than technique. However, it probably goes without saying that the effectiveness of the presentation is often what wins the day, especially in a close debate. Today's topic on Economics is Everywhere debates the pros and cons of an unregulated marijuana market. The classical economists are promoting the legalization of marijuana without any special restrictions or taxes or licensing. Those who trust in the government want marijuana restrictions and desire limits and prohibitions. First, the pro team will argue using classical economic theory to persuade us that we should trust the market, that no restrictions should be placed on the market for marijuana. Next, the con team argues against the proposed change in policy. They will be relying on Keynesian economic theory to support their position and to persuade us that government restrictions are best. Let's debate.
Our nation as a whole is currently in a state of recession. We have a product at hand that just a few years could wipe out our nation's debt by trillions of dollars. As an agricultural crop, marijuana could bring about $14 billion annually. Not only do we need to be looking at the monetary side of things, but also what it can do for unemployment rate. As we currently are at an average of 8.7 unemployment rate in the United States. Opening up this new market for marijuana production could generate hundreds of thousands of jobs between farming, packaging, transportation, and then distribution of the product. What this crop could save us on average is better explained by the Colorado Center of Law and Policy. Their studies showed that if marijuana became completely legalized, that $60 million in combined savings and revenue, just Colorado's budget alone, those $60 million could save the state and can set forth better education surrounding the proper use of marijuana or even the advancers and other products that once the state could not obtain. It was also concluded that an additional $12 million would be saved due to the lack of criminal costs. So as a combined saving, the one state equals roughly $72 million annually. Now we need to begin to ask ourselves, why hasn't this cash crop been legalized?
Cannabinoids cure cancer. According to an article in the Huffington Post, Sean McAllister and Pierre Desperez studied the gene ID1, the gene that causes cancer to spread, and CBD, cannabidiol, the non-toxic, non-psychoactive chemical in marijuana, and combined the pair. The results showed that cannabidiol could in essence kill the cancerous gene. There are several other cannabinoids that we do not know what purpose they serve because of the inability to fund proper research due to the legal conflict. If it was legal, this research could take place and possibly find more uses for cannabis and potentially a cure for different types of cancer. Unrestricted marijuana trades, expanding trading power, stimulating the economy to further its reach. The market will always be present in modern-day societies, so why not use it for the benefits? The amount of money saved from releasing innocent people for such petty crimes, such as possession of marijuana, and then the amount of revenue that is made can be exponential. With such a good and self-sustainable resource available to us, why criminalize it and not make it available to the good citizens of our country?
More and more people believe that marijuana should be legalized. However, without regulation, the legalization of marijuana should not be considered. Marijuana would have devastating health effects on the public, be too easy to access, lead to more serious drugs, and would overall become a serious hazard. These may just be a few small of Keynesian's opinions, but here are some of the facts. The short-term effects include distorted perception, problems with memory and learning, loss of coordination, trouble with thinking and problem solving, increased heart rate and reduced blood pressure, and sometimes anxiety and fear, distrust, or panic. The long-term health effects include a higher risk of someone smoking marijuana to get lung cancer and impairing the body's immune system from fighting diseases. Health effects on the brain include hallucinations, delusions, impaired memory, and disorientation. The effects on the heart include the heart beating to increase 20 to 50 beats per minute, and blood pressure would drop. The chance of a heart attack would be 4 times higher, in the first hour of smoking marijuana. Legalizing marijuana would send the wrong message. Yes, there are laws against child abuse. However, the public should not generally be worried about children being 12 and under to have access to pot. According to the chart, we see that the highest percentage of marijuana usage is between ages 18 to 25. Brain researchers are increasingly confirming the powers of decision-making, especially under stress, don't fully mature in most people until they are in the mid-20s. Therefore, the option of choosing to smoke marijuana shouldn't even be available until the mid-20s. The classical argument would be that marijuana is no big deal. People arguing would tell you that there haven't been any deaths. However, marijuana is a gateway drug. Once marijuana is legalized, accessing it would be a lot easier and faster. More users of marijuana would lead to more people unsatisfied and curious. The use of marijuana would lead to the use of opium, ecstasy, or LSD. Without regulation, marijuana can be used anywhere, anytime. A teacher could walk into work and it would be as if he had only smoked a cigarette. A chef could walk into the kitchen high and could end up poisoning a customer. Driving while under the use of marijuana would be much worse than drunk driving. Marijuana not only has more initial effects, but without regulation, there also wouldn't be any consequences. Without any consequences, many people wouldn't be afraid to drive and smoke marijuana at the same time.
Very good. Now we enter into the rapid fire round of our debate.
All right, let's say some alcohol and tobacco. Who's to say that what someone can or cannot do to their body? It isn't harming others. There's dependent on intoxication than alcohol. No deaths from marijuana, you know.
Well, what can it do for the economy? There is no constant demand. There's always different prices. Plants per gram, which appeals to many pounds for pounds. Marijuana holds possibly the highest value for its end product. As far as plants go, well, just because you introduce alcohol into our system and all this kind of stuff, why would you want to introduce another harmful substance into our economy?
It's just another law that can be worked around and regulated and educated upon. That's all it needs to be. Sure, why not? Honestly, it all comes back to a choice, you know. People have a choice. Just because something is legal, you don't need to use it, or you don't need to, take, for example, alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I don't have the need to drink alcohol, you know. It's a choice. It's a personal choice, you know. People are capable of making their own choices. Why we need government to tell us what we need to do, you know?
You might be able to make that choice, but a young child who has a substance very accessible to them cannot make that choice, and that would make their future more difficult, depending on what decisions they make, like they will have their parents while they're selling all the times.
And how they're going to get, for example, marijuana is legalized, how they're going to get it, you know? I'm sorry, but if the parent has a child, and the parent is not responsible enough, and the parent cannot tell their kids how they should react, you know, they shouldn't be born marijuana, and I'm going to agree on that. But those cases, they're minimum, you know, and when you're saying that a child will be able to find that, you know, unless some adult decide to put that right in to give to their kid, you know, I don't think anybody of us will ever do that, you know? People will do that.
Like, get a hold of cigarettes and smoke behind their parents' back, so, I mean, they can get pot and do the same thing. There will always be those people. People will always be able to get their hands on drugs, teens, children, but in the economy, it's bad. It's bad to give children drugs. It's bad to give children alcohol. That's a standard for us as people. It's just a standard to not give those drugs to kids.
The other thing that you have to consider in this, and this is a good one, you have to look at the status of how the laws are today, you know, and you have to look at even that it's prohibited to use it today, there's still people that use it. And even kids that shouldn't have access, they still have access. So what would be better, you know? Are you going to keep it as it is right now, where it's causing more trouble than necessary, or are you going to, you know, let's do something better, you know? Right now there's no control, like the purity of the drug and all that stuff. If you left that to the market will dictate that. It would be better for the market to do it, you know?
Well, like I said, with the teenagers, it's ages 18 to 25 where it's the targeted age for marijuana users. So if it's the age that wants it, it's around that age where they're not fully making mature decisions. So they shouldn't really be able to have that accessibility to be able to make that decision.
If you're going to discuss that, then you need to look at the laws surrounding that age group from 18 to 25, because you are considered an adult at the age of 21, right in between that age. And you are, by law, should be able enough to make your own decisions. And if that's one of your decisions that you decide to choose, then you are part of that statistic. But there are smarter Americans in this world today that can change all that and that can realize how to abuse and how to use different products that our world has to offer.
Legalizing this law will dumb down our country. It would have our employees high on the job on cigarette rates. It would make our bosses make stupid decisions. Irrational moments. Could just have a economy. Like you guys could make a lot of money off of it, at the same time who says like a lot of black market's going to stop, their prices would just drop, and then government would be able to sell the black market.
You're talking about the black market, you know, like, let me put it this way, if you legalize the drug, the markets are going to be regulated. Don't put it in license, because when you get the government and you get into requiring licenses or other stuff like that, then the market, underground market, is going to increase more. So, you know, let's legalize it. Avoid putting too much regulation. There are certain things that you will be able to control, and it will generate some revenue. And right now, the country needs revenue, you know? People need jobs, you know?
With my closing statement, I would like to say that legalizing marijuana will just bring our country down and domicile the population.
In essence, if marijuana was legalized, we could cure cancer. To legalize marijuana without regulation, you would need to be high.
From an economic standpoint, we're killing our national debt. If from years of, if this was legalized, if it was 4 years on the line, we'd be in zero debt. Our economy would be in a boom, there'd be an uprising. I'm not saying that it could be 100% for our American public to do this, but an economic standpoint, the supply and the demand for it is exponential, and it's worth billions upon billions of dollars.
Well, I'm a boss, so from that standpoint, if we legalize and I'm interviewing employees to work for me, and in the interview they're high, it's probably not going to go well. And if I hire them and they're high working, it's more likely that they're going to have an accident. They could be cutting their finger or anything like that. Instead of going on cigarette breaks, they'll be asking me to go out to smoke weed. And so I just don't think it's a good idea.
Well, that's still in the same law of alcohol. I mean, how are you going to use and abuse that? I mean, there's the smart Americans, then there's the dumb ones that are going to abuse it. I feel like we're not believing in our American public as a whole.
Well, the debate continues, and unfortunately we've run out of time in this session, but I hope that you'll take some time to discuss it with people that you care about on this important topic. I wanted to thank those who put this together and worked so hard in making a very lively and interesting debate to listen to. I want to thank the people, Hudson, and gentlemen at Viking Video Technologies who helped in the production of this video. Remember, economics is everywhere. Until next time.